Each and every day, tourists flock to popular tourist attractions to bask in their glory. But sometimes there can be more than what meets the eye. They can have hidden rooms, a dark past, or just something they don't really want you to know about. From the secrets of Taj Mahal to the hidden basketball court at Disneyland, here are secrets hidden in popular tourist attractions. Number 10. Empty building Times Square. New York City is one of the most visited places in the world and in the US. In the heart of all the skyscrapers and roads filled with taxis is Times Square. This is the world's second most visited tourist attraction, but there's something about it you just might not know about. This was originally constructed in 1904 to serve as the headquarters for New York Times, a newspaper company. The giant concrete tower at that time stood out like a sore thumb, and many workers complained about it. The building inside remains empty ever since, and people had a different idea in mind with this valuable piece of land. Instead of finding new tenants, they decided to flood it with advertisements. There's a Walgreens on the bottom floor, but it really seems like someone should probably be living inside the most expensive real estate in the world. The ads have taken over, and any actual rent paid here would be a minuscule fraction compared to the $23 million made each year with ads. The whole building is roughly worth $495 million nowadays. The only actual resident here is the ball that's dropped on New Year's Eve. Number 9. The Taj Mahal Secrets. The Taj Mahal is a beautiful depiction of artwork dedicated to Shah Jahan's love of his life, who passed away after giving birth. This place is certainly bucket list worthy, but are all the legends and tales 100% accurate? Another popular legend goes that in order to keep anyone from replicating such a masterpiece, he gouged out the craftsman's eyeballs and cut off their hands. But no historical records have shown that this was true, and it was likely made up. In fact, Shah Jahan was planning on building a second Taj Mahal out of black marble, so it would have been very counterproductive to do this. The other legend about him completely dedicating this to his wife also seems slightly questionable. Shah Jahan was a complete egocentromaniac who used slave labor and oppressive taxes to complete this construction. Don't forget, he had over 2,000 women in his harem, which adds more to the question. Should this really be considered a monument dedicated to love? Others claim that this was made to be so elaborate in order to bring honor to Shah himself, and it was more than likely a symbol of complete power during his reign. The real sarcophagi are also kept secret underground and away from the public. Number 8. The Golden Gate Bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge is one of the most iconic buildings in the US, and it's a top spot for people to take photos of when on vacation in San Francisco. But some people come here for more dark reasons. The bridge could actually look completely different if the military had their say in the project. The US Navy and the Air Force wanted it to be much more noticeable and have it striped like a candy cane instead of being orange. They were concerned with the visibility. The Navy was concerned about it being consumed by fog, which would make the ships crash into it, and they also wanted it to be black and yellow, kind of like a bumblebee. The paint we see now wasn't even meant to be permanent, and it was actually the color of the coating that was used to prevent rusting. But it actually turned out to be okay because it was still visible through the fog, so it stayed the same. The impressive monument is also the top suicide location in the world, and on average, one person jumps every 3 weeks. This totals to 1,600 lost souls. The first one took place just 3 months after the construction, and it's become a little bit of a dark secret people in San Francisco don't want you to know about. Signs like this have been placed to try to get people to get help. Number 7. Big Ben's Secret Room. When going to London, tourists are quick to flock to the Big Ben Tower, situated at the Palace of Westminster. But do they even know who Ben is and what has gone inside of that tower? Big Ben refers to the bell inside the clock tower, which actually weighs 13 tons. It was named after the commissioner of the bell, Benjamin Hall, who was a rather big man. In fact, it really should be referred to as the Elizabeth Tower, and you can't really get a photo with the bell, which is also broken by the way. However, one of the more intriguing secrets about this place isn't who it was named after or any of that, but the prison room inside that actually exists. About 1/3 of the way up, there are 113 stairs that lead to the prison room where political prisoners have been held in the past. In 1880, an atheist was elected a role as a government official, but refused to swear allegiance to the Queen. For his defiance, he was actually imprisoned there for at least one night. There's not a ton of confirmed cases, but there's another one about a women's rights activist being placed here for a while before she incited a riot. Number 6. Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China is one of the most recognizable structures around the world, and ever since elementary school, it's an image ingrained into our minds to represent China. It's home to an annual 9 million visitors a year, but maybe there's a few secrets, literally hidden within the wall. There's an estimated 400,000 workers who made the ultimate sacrifice to complete the wall, and written records seem to support that this creepy practice took place. It gets the name as the largest cemetery in the world due to the harsh working conditions and what happened here. The Great Wall began construction in 200 BC by Emperor Qin Shi Huang in order to prevent hordes of barbarians from invading China. It was mostly built by soldiers and convicts when construction began, back at a time when construction methods were a little bit crude. Although many claim that it's just a myth that there's bodies within the wall, considering the loss of life and the size of the wall, it certainly seems like it could be true. Newer portions of the Great Wall most likely don't, since working conditions improved quite a bit during the time of the Ming Dynasty. Number 5. The Louvre. The Louvre had a humble beginning as an ordinary castle to protect Paris in case of an invasion from the north via the River Seine from the Vikings in the 12th century. It's grown to a remarkable size, and you can still even see the medieval foundations. During the French Revolution, the citizens of Paris turned it into a public place where they were able to see a modest amount of artwork. However, in modern times, that number has risen to over 70,000 pieces of artwork, and it's the most visited art museum in the world. Where did they get all this artwork, you might ask? A huge number of it was all basically seized from foreign countries during Napoleon's raiding sprees around the 1800s. If you come here, you'll notice quite a bit of artwork from all over the place, like Egypt, the Vatican, and Austria, that are still on display. Even when the Nazis were occupying France, the Nazis used it to store many paintings and other works of art that they had confiscated from people across Europe. Even to this day, the Louvre and many museums in Europe receive quite a bit of heat for cultural theft. Number 4. Disneyland. On a little bit of a lighter note, Disneyland is the happiest place on earth, and you certainly won't find any Nazis here. If you've ever been to Disneyland in Anaheim, California, you've probably seen the Matterhorn ride, which is modeled after the famous jagged mountain in Switzerland. Rumors started going around that at the very tip top of the mountain, there's actually a basketball court in the attic, complete with rims, basketball hoops, court markings, all the bells and whistles. But could this really be true? We actually looked into it, and it appears as though it is indeed true and not a hoax. It turns out that there was a strange law about having buildings reaching a certain height in Anaheim, but with one exception: sports facilities. With the addition of a sports facility, Disneyland was able to construct the Matterhorn just a little bit taller just from adding this little basketball court. Number 3. Waikiki Beach is fake. Massive amounts of tourists flock to Waikiki Beach to enjoy the beautiful beaches, see the girls in hula outfits, and catch some serious waves, brah. But you might be surprised to find out that Waikiki Beach is completely fake. How can they fake a beach, you might ask? Honolulu is Hawaii's biggest city, but they were just missing one thing: a beach. The coast is filled with imported sand, and the whole beach is even under threat of disappearing. There's a stone wall near the Royal Hawaiian Hotel that keeps some of the ocean away from the coast, allowing for a beach. Rumor has it that the stone wall is beginning to fall apart, which could mean the end for Hawaii's most popular tourist attraction. Nearly the entire beach is man-made, and basically its engineering works from the 1950s are holding it together, which is due to erode fairly soon. Number 2. Secrets of the Eiffel Tower. The most iconic building in France is by far the Eiffel Tower, and it roughly attracts 7 million tourists each year. It's also the tallest structure in Paris, but it's a little strange due to the fact that it's not even supposed to still be here. It was actually supposed to have been destroyed 20 years after its opening in 1889. Many of France's leading architects and artists despise this building, creating petitions to get it destroyed. They labeled it as a useless and monstrous structure. People began to realize its other potential uses with a radio tower, so it stayed. One of the worst kept secrets, however, is that on the very top of the Eiffel Tower, there's Gustave's hidden apartment building. After designing the Eiffel Tower, he realized, hey, there's a pretty nice view from the top of this place. So he went ahead and added a new secret apartment. The reason it's considered to be secret is because Gustave didn't tell anyone about it at that time, and no one else was allowed in besides him, and possibly some Parisian burlesque models. And number 1. The Las Vegas Strip. Las Vegas, Nevada, home to the flashiest casinos on earth, and it's also the #1 tourist attraction in the world. In 1931, Nevada legalized most forms of gambling as a way to draw revenue to the state. However, many might not be aware that the modern-day city of Las Vegas would simply not be the same without the intervention of roughly 20 organized crime families. These kinds of families we often refer to as the Mafia. Las Vegas openly embraces this history with a new edition of the Mafia Museum, but if you're not specifically looking for this history, it remains a secret. When gambling finally became legalized here, the city was slow to grow until after World War II. They saw this as a good opportunity to get rich legally, doing something they already knew how to do: establish successful casinos. Casinos such as the Tropicana, the Stardust, the Sahara, Dunes, and Caesar Palace began to spring up. And many of these casinos were often linked to owners who had shady pasts with racketeering. For example, the Flamingo was owned and run by the infamous mob boss Bugsy Siegel. He was a feared hitman in New York City, and many will still claim to see his ghost lurking around the Flamingo Hotel. Legendary singers such as Frank Sinatra had professional ties to the mob and would often perform at their casinos. Strangely enough, the Mafia would ally with Mormons in Las Vegas, who had a prominent role in banking and as lawyers. It would take a good 30 years for the FBI to really catch on to all the organized crime here, and eventually the mob would have to move elsewhere. Or would they? Any suggestions on future videos? Leave us your idea in the comments section, and maybe we'll feature it in an upcoming video.